what I found that how my bipolar works is I never. It depends on where my energy is. So if my energy is really high, then I get like free crystal meth in my head. So that's north, and that energy is available. Now, if you make me laugh, then that energy goes into that laugh and it's hysterical. If you make me angry, the energy goes into that emotion and it's psychotic. If you make me sad and I'm in that energy, I can go completely the other way and then not want to exist anymore. I've never really wanted to hang myself or cut my wrists, but I have noticed that I would do things that will put me in a position to kill myself using external factors like the police. And or in my youth, I would know that there was a group of guys, 5 or 6 of them that I knew were dangerous. And if I wasn't feeling good, or if I was with a girlfriend somewhere and she upset me, and those people were in the building, I would start a fight with them, just me one, and I knew that they were carrying weapons. And one occasion that led me to nearly dying, I got stabbed multiple times and they punctured my lung. And but then there's the other thing, my triggers. So you got all of this energy, and if it's north, then if I'm feeling like low self-esteem, which is based in my childhood, where if you're getting beaten every day and you're not cuddled, and cigarettes are being put out on you and they're spitting on you at school and throwing bricks at you, eventually you will evaluate that maybe I'm just a piece of shit. And then what happens is the ego takes over as your friend and says, well, maybe I'll just build you back up again. So for instance, you'll get disenfranchised people giving themselves names like Hercules and you know, all these rap names are very grandiose names as a way to compensate for the low self-esteem that's constantly perpetuating in there because of being disenfranchised and racism and all of these type of things. And mine was cruelty and racism. So I would be the kid at school that really wanted to win the race, you know, because I had to accumulate a counter to the insults. We're all perfect organisms. If we're alive, we're perfect. A memory comes to bug me and says, you remember you're a piece of shit, right? I go, really? I got some money, let me go online. There's a really exclusive bike. So I'll buy that bike. there's another exclusive bike. So I'll buy another one. And another one. I don't ride them all, but I have them. You know what I mean? So just in case somebody's coming along in a really nice bike, I can choose one and ride past them and go, mine's better. It's pathetic. It's pathetic, but it's a form of therapy. Very expensive. I don't hear what other people hear, so I think my voice is whack. Everybody else says my voice has an amazing tone, naturally. And then I speak in poetic forms, because of the low self-esteem, I didn't want to speak normally like everybody else. So I spoke in rhythms and prose like Shakespearean, to make myself feel better. So this almost, it looks like narcissism on the outside of it, you know what I mean? But I do have empathy. I do see in myself, I've spoken to a therapist before, and I've said to the therapist, I don't like the way I treat people when I feel small. I try to either make them under me in order for me to feel better or whatever. And he said, well, a narcissist will never call a therapist and say that they feel bad for what they do. But it's like extreme ego, building of ego. I have copious amounts of clothes, very exclusive. I don't wear them, I just have them. The reason why I'm microdosing psilocybin is because it's claimed that it fixes parts of the brain that have been damaged, underdeveloped by trauma. As the child and the brain is developing, if it's traumatized, it will fix itself, and the only part of the brain that will get development is high alert self-defense. And that's the whole line of my neurons. You know what I mean? All the other stuff that people have open to themselves, like enjoying life, gratitude, all of these, that wasn't my area of concern as a child. I was focused purely on survival. So high alert. When I was at school, I was making weapons when everybody else was getting an education, you know. And they say that it can heal the brain. It can stop the veins that go in the neurons to create and attach themselves to another neuron and say this is how life is, and attach themselves, so you end up on one line. It can stop that growth. I use lion's mane as well, that also helps heal the brain. So I want to pull back cortisol. I want to stop the production of the alert part of the brain constantly, to give myself the space to introduce another part of my brain to enjoying life and to gratitude and trust. And these type of things. The last time I microdosed psilocybin, magic mushroom, it was like I'm riding on this train of what I think life is like. I'm looking at the same scenery all the time. But then what happened was, there was another train that turned up, and I was sitting on that train looking at the other guy going, you really need to get over here. Because the mushrooms give me an atmosphere inside my brain that even though I'm not interacting in things, I've got feelings in my brain like I'm with really good people, like I'm being hugged by a beautiful woman. You know what I mean? Like it's a really sunny day, but it's all going on. I'm getting the electrical impulses, like these things are happening externally, but I'm just sitting in a room. So the visual representation of that my intellect threw up is that I'm on another track, and on that track there's different scenery, and that part of my brain is saying you need to get over here, and I made that intention when I took it anyway, which was to take my brain off the track of something bad is going to happen. Imagine most of my phobia happens when things are really quiet, because peace was always broken. So the prelude to violence is silence. The prelude to violence, imagine that, imagine living with that. When everything's calm and going well, you get anxious, because that's when my mother would burst in the room. She never told me what was annoying her. She would go from silent to beating me, because everything was just going on inside her head. So when somebody's just going about their day or whatever, and then one day all of a sudden, so you imagine a lot of my problems happen with women, because it happened with a woman, and there's the hormonal situation. So I can be exactly the same, but a woman can go through something hormonally, not giving any outward indication she's going on it on her own, but her feet might walk a little bit harder on the floor, or the light might get switched off harder. And then all of a sudden, I'm going through all these chemical things, and by the time I'm ready to talk about it, because I'm ashamed of being triggered and being in fear, by the time I'm ready to talk about it, I'm like, please stop making that noise. And the person's like, wow. Obviously, they don't realize they turn the light on and off loudly. They're just going through what they're going through. But what they're surprised by is my extreme agitation. But my extreme agitation is fueled by extreme fear. Coming from the traumatized state is dictating my now going, oh, we know what this is. This happens next. Now, I know intellectually it's not going to happen next. The person's not my mother. Do you know what I mean? But chemically, my body thinks. So I've got all this adrenaline all of a sudden, and then I'm starting to go, hey world, can you all behave? Impossible. It's like that Buddhist statement that you can't put leather all over the planet, you can only put it under your own foot to make it more comfortable. So I'm basically trying to find the leather now and get it into my head that even though these factors are there, violence is not going to happen next, and I need to tell my chemicals and the glands that release these chemicals and educate them that you're safe now. Cambo, that's a purging. So there was drug addiction, as I used that street pharmaceuticals as an aid for my anxiety. When I isolated, I got lonely. So then I smoked crack to give me something to do. Toxic chemicals from adrenaline and all this that are trapped in my blood. So I wanted to purge in order to get me more sensitive to quality of life, rather than having this kind of muffler, toxic muffler on my senses, because I need these senses to give me a life that I want to fight for, which will help me dig more into my therapy. And yeah, so.
All right. And the thing we're gonna do later today, what is it called? Why are we going to do that?
Cupping.
Just try to.
The diet that I chose was high nutrition. I want to keep as much life force in my body as possible. And again, I'll just reiterate that the more you can find ways of your body wanting to stay alive, it will help in any therapy or difficult therapies you have to do to improve your life, to take the lung butter out of it, so to speak.
Should this way.
So if my body is feeling strong, I'm less fearful. I'm more composed, less likely to be near the high alert level, which means the slightest thing can make me go, pah. But if I'm down here, it's going to take me a lot longer to get to that explosive point. So basically, creating a better quality life for myself, making me less dangerous, making people react to me a little bit more better. So I'm changing the atmosphere. I used to keep pit bulls because they changed the atmosphere of the world around me. Either people like the dog or they're afraid of the dog. That keeps me safe. You know what I mean? I used to move in a gang of people that were very intimidating. So when I move with my friends, it changes the atmosphere of the people around me, allows me ease. You know, kids don't get into these gangs just because they want to be wicked. They basically want to feel a little bit of ease and self-assured. You know what I mean? And that in extreme cases can make you start walking with a gun, can make you start walking with a knife, but it's basically to change the atmosphere of potential abusers in order to give your heart and your mind some peace. Drastic measures, I think, not really helped by the system either. So it's a pity we have to be so extreme. It's a pity I have to have a middle name called Bang.
Here.